Hey, Steelers Nation, welcome back. Today we're diving into the latest buzz surrounding our beloved Pittsburgh Steelers. And I promise you, this one is going to stir up a lot of debate. Now, before we jump into the big stuff, I want to say this: the quarterback situation is not a simple fix. And it is not going to be solved by wishful thinking or nostalgia. It's going to require a bold decision, and the longer we wait, the harder it gets. Let's start with the name. That always gets the Steelers fanbase talking. Will Howard. Yeah, I said it. And yes, I know what happens every time I mention him. The reactions are immediate, emotional, and sometimes, honestly, a little too intense. It's like the second you hear Howard, your brain goes into this dreamy highlight reel mode where he's already a superstar and everything is suddenly perfect, but we need to slow down and think clearly. We cannot let the last time we saw him win a championship in college override the reality of what we are dealing with in the NFL, and I get why people love him. His interviews are charming. He's got that energetic and optimistic personality that makes you want to root for him. And he does have that underdog aura that draws people in. But here's the thing, the Steelers are not looking for a mascot or a feel-good story. They are looking for someone who can lead this franchise out of a quarterback crisis that has been going on for far too long. If Howard turns out to be another one of those guys we tried for a while, and then quietly moved on from, that's not a disaster. It's not ideal, but at least it's progress. At least it means the organization is actively trying to solve the problem instead of pretending it isn't there. The issue I have with the Steelers right now is that we keep hoping the solution will magically appear. We keep saying maybe next year like it's a charm we can keep rubbing until something good happens, but this is a team that needs a real answer, not a hope, not a story, not a project, a real answer. And that brings us back to the coaching situation, because whoever the next head coach is will likely have the final say on the quarterback decision. Now, let's talk about something Art Rooney said at a press conference that honestly raised a few eyebrows. He said something about Aaron Rodgers that sounded like it was Mike's guy, meaning Mike Tomlin. Now, I don't know if that means the Steelers would not have signed Rodgers without Tomlin's push, or if it means the organization had reservations and went along with it because the head coach wanted him, but it does make you wonder whether the Steelers would have preferred to start this whole quarterback transition earlier. Maybe even as far back as the 2025 season. We might never get a clear answer. But it's worth thinking about because it shows that the decision-making process has been more complicated than it appears. And now we move on to the main point, Will Howard. I want to make this clear. I am not handing him the starting job. I am not anointing him king of the franchise. I am not even saying he is the answer. What I am saying is that we owe it to ourselves to actually see what he can do in a real NFL setting. We have a veteran quarterback under contract for next season in Mason Rudolph. We know what he brings: professionalism, leadership, and readiness if Howard struggles. Rudolph is there to step in. That's the stability the Steelers need. But here's the twist: the quarterback class is looking thin in the Pittsburgh draft once we get past the top prospects. And once the Indiana quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, is gone, the options start to look a little more uncertain. There is Ty Simpson from Alabama, who is projected to go around the middle of the first round, and potentially within reach if the Steelers decide to trade up. But the moment I hear someone describe him as a 100% lock, I'm going to assume that person is an outlier. There are always concerns. There are always questions. That's the reality of drafting a quarterback, especially in the first round. So what do? You don't want to publicly announce that you're going to see what Howard has and then just accept losing games to evaluate him. That's not how you build a winning team. You also don't want to ignore him completely, because the fact is, we barely saw him in his rookie season. He missed preseason games due to a finger injury, and then spent the regular season running scout team offense. That's not the same as playing meaningful reps in real situations, so you can't honestly judge him based on that season. The question is, do you take a chance on a mid-round quarterback in the draft? Do you invest a third or fourth round pick in someone who might be a project? You can do that, sure, but would you prioritize that over Howard? Not likely. And then there's the free agent market. The upcoming quarterback class in free agency is not exactly stacked. The most intriguing name is Malik Willis. If you still think of him as the guy the Steelers passed on in favor of Kenny Pickett, you might want to take a second look at what he did last season in Green Bay, late in the year. He looked electric at times. His numbers in limited action were eye-popping. In 3 starts and 11 games, he completed nearly 79% of his passes, threw for close to 1,000 yards, had 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, and posted a passer rating above 130. Those stats sound unreal, like he's the greatest quarterback ever. But the question is it real? Was it the lack of pressure of not being the starter? Was it Matt LaFleur's system? Was it him finally coming into his own? Willis is not even 27 yet, and he's got the kind of athletic ability that could change the dynamic of a Steelers offense. But do you bring him in and treat him like a developmental project, similar to how the Bears handled Justin Fields? Or do you chase a more proven option like Fields himself, who is also set to hit free agency? It's a lot to think about, and all of it is being drowned out by the coaching search. Which makes sense because the head coach will ultimately have the biggest voice in the decision. Now, let's switch gears and talk about the coaching search. This is where things get really interesting because the Steelers are not just looking for a play caller, they are looking for a leader. Someone who can command the locker room and set a tone, and based on the latest reports, it sounds like Mike McCarthy has had his in-person interview. But from what I've seen and heard from the fan base, there is very little appetite for McCarthy as the next head coach, and honestly, I can see why. His style doesn't necessarily fit what the Steelers seem to be prioritizing right now. And then there's Brian Flores. Now, I know some of you are not thrilled with him, but let's be real, the people who want a coach that resembles a Sean McVay disciple are not necessarily thinking about Flores' past, they're thinking about offensive innovation. About someone who can bring a new, dynamic approach. But I think the Steelers are looking for more than that. They want someone with that wow factor. Someone who walks into the building and immediately grabs attention. That's why the Rams staff is being mentioned so much. Chris Shula and Nate Scheelhaase have that kind of reputation. They are young, hungry, and they have that aura that makes people pay attention. And that's why I think the Steelers might wait for the Rams, not because it's a guarantee, but because the organization seems to be chasing that sense of leadership, that energy, that presence. Art Rooney has made it clear that leadership is the top priority. And that means the Steelers are going to want someone who can make a strong first impression in person. It's not just about interviews on paper. It's about the vibe. It's about the feeling. It's about whether this person gives you chills when they speak and makes you think, this is the one. Now, if you're still with me, let's keep digging into what this coaching search really means for the Steelers and how it connects to the quarterback situation, because the truth is, the coach and the quarterback are not separate issues. They are tied together, and whoever steps into that head coaching role will likely determine the next decade of Steelers football. That's a heavy responsibility. And it's one that the Rooney family does not take lightly. But it's also one that they have historically approached with a sense of tradition and identity, which can be both a strength and a limitation. One thing I keep hearing from fans is that they want the Steelers to be aggressive, to make a bold move, to go get the next big thing, and I understand that sentiment. The Steelers have always been a team that should feel like they are chasing greatness, not just maintaining it. But the reality is that the franchise has also always been careful, methodical, and somewhat conservative in its approach. They do not like to be seen as impulsive or reactionary. That's why this coaching search is taking time, and why the Rooney family is likely being very deliberate in how they evaluate candidates. Let's talk about the Rams route again, because it's the one that keeps coming up and it's the one that makes the most sense. In the current climate, Chris Shula and Nate Scheelhaase have been the hot names because they represent the kind of modern, offensive-minded coaching style that can make the Steelers exciting again. But it's not just about offense, it's about leadership. And both of those guys have the kind of energy that can ignite a locker room. Scheelhaase, in particular, is starting to get noticed across the league, and that's a big deal. When a coach is still young and already being interviewed for head coaching jobs, it means he's doing something right. It means people are seeing something special. But here's the catch. If the Steelers bring in a young, rising star like Scheelhaase, they're also taking a risk. They're betting on potential, not proven results. And the Steelers have not always been the kind of organization that is comfortable taking that kind of gamble, but maybe that's exactly what they need to do. Maybe the Steelers need to shake things up and embrace the idea that the next head coach might not be a proven veteran, but a rising star with a fresh perspective. If they do that, it could change the culture in a way that the Steelers haven't seen in years. Now, let's circle back to the quarterback situation. Because this is where the connection becomes unavoidable. If the Steelers do go with a coach like Shula or Sheil Haas, what does that mean for the quarterback? It could mean that the team is willing to adapt to build an offense that fits the quarterback, rather than forcing the quarterback to fit a system. That's a big shift from the past. It would mean that the Steelers might be more open to taking a chance on a player like Howard, but it could also mean they are willing to explore other options, like a veteran free agent or a draft pick, depending on who they believe can win games. The problem is, the Steelers are stuck in this weird limbo where they have a veteran quarterback on the roster who can start, but they also have a young quarterback with potential, and the draft class is uncertain. It's a situation where every choice has consequences. If they commit to Howard, they have to commit to giving him real reps and real opportunities to prove himself. If they commit to a veteran like Malik Willis, they have to accept that it might be a short-term solution, and that the long-term future is still uncertain. If they commit to drafting a quarterback, they have to accept that it might take time to develop, and the Steelers might not be competitive immediately. But the Steelers are not a team that can afford to wait. The franchise is still in a window where the defense can be competitive, and the team still has enough talent to win games if the quarterback play improves. That's why this decision is so crucial. It's not just about finding a quarterback. It's about finding the right quarterback for the right coach, and finding the right coach for the right quarterback. It's about aligning the pieces so that the team can move forward with confidence. And let's not forget the fans. Steelers fans are some of the most passionate and loyal in the league, but they are also demanding. They want to win, and they want to win now. They don't have patience for a long rebuild, and they shouldn't have to. The Steelers are a franchise that has built its identity around winning and toughness. The fans expect a team that competes at the highest level, and they want to see that reflected in the decisions being made now. When you look at the bigger picture, the coaching search is really about leadership and identity. Art Rooney has said that leadership is the #1 priority, and that means the Steelers are looking for someone who can command respect, someone who can bring a sense of discipline, and someone who can set a tone that the team will follow. It's not just about X and O's, it's about the ability to build a culture that players want to be a part of. And that's why the Steelers might be willing to wait for the right person, rather than rushing into a decision. I know there are fans who are frustrated with the pace of the process. They want answers now. They want to know who the coach will be and who the quarterback will be. But the Steelers have always been a franchise that takes its time. They don't make decisions lightly. And while that can be annoying for fans who want immediate clarity, it also means that when the Steelers do make a decision, it's usually a well-considered one. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers appear to have made a bold decision at the quarterback position, and the name reportedly behind the decision has already leaked, according to sources close to the team. The Steelers have agreed to terms with none other than Dak Prescott, the veteran signal caller who has spent the majority of his career leading the Dallas Cowboys. While the deal has not been officially confirmed by the organization, insiders suggest that Pittsburgh is fully committed to bringing Prescott in as their next franchise quarterback. The speculation surrounding the Steelers' quarterback situation has been swirling for months. After years of inconsistency and injuries under center, the team has been searching for a player who can bring both stability and leadership to the offense. Prescott, known for his poise in the pocket, mobility, and ability to read defenses, fits the profile of a veteran capable of revitalizing the Steelers' passing game. His track record in Dallas, where he led the team to multiple playoff appearances, makes him a highly desirable candidate for a franchise looking to return to contention. Fans and analysts alike have been quick to weigh in on the implications of the rumored signing. Some see it as a perfect match, a proven quarterback joining a team with a historically strong defense and a committed fan base. Others question whether Prescott's style will mesh with Pittsburgh's offensive scheme, noting that adjustments may be necessary on both sides to maximize his strengths. Still, the excitement around the potential acquisition is palpable, as supporters imagine a quarterback who can command the huddle and take pressure off the team's young playmakers. The leak of Prescott's name has only fueled the media frenzy, with debate spreading across sports networks and social media platforms. Speculation ranges from The financial details of the contract to the strategic impact on the AFC landscape. While the Steelers have yet to make an official announcement, the rumor alone has sparked renewed hope among the faithful, who see a new era potentially dawning at quarterback. If true, this move could mark one of the most talked about acquisitions of the offseason, setting the stage for a team eager to prove that it can compete at the highest level once again. As the football world watches closely, one thing is certain: Pittsburgh's quarterback saga has taken a dramatic turn, and all eyes will be on Prescott if this deal comes to fruition. The Steelers, a franchise steeped in tradition, may be ready to take a calculated gamble that could redefine their offensive identity for years to come. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.